You're watching my favorite YouTube channel, Chillmonger. I found another reason to speak about Jonathan Majors. There's a Yahoo article that I linked in the description of where I'm reading off of. I'm reading a guy named Kevin Wright. He was a co-executive producer here on the Loki new season. He worked with Jonathan Majors on the Ant-Man show. The questions that they give, it's a longer interview, but eventually he gets to, you mentioned He Who Remains, Victor Timely. So those are the characters Majors plays. I don't know if you guys are up to stuff on the Marvel stuff. I know a lot of people watch these videos that got Jonathan Majors, like literally thousands, flock to my channel whenever I talk about that. So if you're a novice, he's got two characters. They look like the same guy, but because there's multiple universes, this is a version that Jonathan Majors plays. So you finished shooting season 2 in 2022. But did Jonathan Majors' arrest for his assault in March result in any changes in the show? No. This is not maybe. This is the first Marvel series to would never have any additional photography. The story that is on screen is the story we set out to make. We went out there with a very specific idea of what we wanted this to be, and we found a way to tell it in that production period. It's very much what's on screen on Disney+. Do you know how neutral that answer is? It's so amazing to hear things like that, even though it's really not nothing at all. He's just saying, we just continued with the movie that was on schedule. He didn't need to pick a side. He didn't need to get into any dirt. He didn't need to get into we're innocent until proven guilty. Oh, the court case is pet. He really doesn't get into the court proceedings or nothing like that, which is a solid answer from this guy, Kevin Wright. It's clear, then the interviewer, it's clear that Majors plays an integral role this season, and you just alluded that it's Marvel usually does an additional photography on all of its titles. So was there any discussion about making changes to the show? Look at him looking for the dirt, given the uncertainty about what was happening with Jonathan Majors. If you're not in the know of what's happening with Jonathan Majors, he was arrested by 6 cops who showed up at his unit. Why did they show up at his unit? Because he dialed 911 for an attempted suicide attempt. A suicide attempt. That's what happened. The cops arrested him, and they said that he strangled her. They actually coach her to say that he was strangling her. Well, those charges are dropped right now. The woman didn't charge him. It's only the district attorney who's charging him. So, because of some fight that happened in some car over a text message that he got probably from Megan Good, and she was all wiling and she scratched him up and injured him. Because of all that stuff that's happened, there was a fight inside of the back of a Cadillac where there was a chauffeur driving who was a witness to this fight and says Jonathan didn't raise his finger. Because of that fight, the district attorney and a district attorney who's unjust and a cop who arrested Jonathan Majors on a bogus charge which doesn't even stand today, he's got legal proceedings. Because of a dirty district attorney who Jonathan's defense team says, hey yo, here's this video of what happened in the back of the car. You can free him because actually he doesn't strike her. He doesn't injure the back of her ear or injure her finger. Those injuries that she got was because she was trying to attempt a suicide. She probably fell on herself. There's a doctor's report that says these injuries are consistent with self-trauma to your own self. There's a video of her with a perfectly fine ear, not bleeding as she goes to the club after this fight that happened where he allegedly put hands on her that way. And there's a lot of evidence. So if you're not in the know, that's what we're talking about here. They don't really get into that in the Yahoo because I guess from the way that the interviewer is asking the questions, he doesn't want you to know about how corrupt the DA is because they saw that video and then said, okay, let's change the charges. And they added some new story about how Jonathan lifted her up and put her in the car, which he says he did do. He didn't throw her in the back of a plush-seated Cadillac Escalade. He put her back in the car out of her self-harm because she was running on the streets. And then they say that he twisted her arm, which I'm sure if we watch that video, his palm goes on her arm because she was attacking him. But they're going to say he twisted it. Really put on the camel clutch. Shout out to the Iron Sheik. Break your back, make you humble. Back to the article. Because you guys might not be in the know. It says it's clear. Oh, so the answer to that question where the guy was looking for, it's uncertainty. The answer to the question from the very normal Kevin Wright, executive producer, who's worked with Jonathan on 2 projects. And if you imagine, Marvel Studios probably saw footage and they're like, oh, Jonathan, I guess you didn't do it. I guess you are pretty innocent. He says, no. And that mainly came from, I know as much as you do at the moment. It felt hasty to do anything without knowing how all this plays out. So these double hyphens right here It could be a single hyphen now that I highlight it. No, this doesn't that allude to like time skip? Is that so? Because there's another one down here where he says, no, this is maybe, not maybe. This is the first Marvel series. So is he pausing? They got a little bit creative with these, and I don't. Maybe it's proper English to do this, and this article writer is a quality writer, Adam B. Very, but it's also makes me ask if there was manipulation here. I'll read it again. He says after he's asking, so was there any discussion about making changes to the show? No. And that mainly came from, I know as much as you do at the moment. It felt hasty to do anything without knowing how all this plays out. Very sensible, he's not writing for any team or anything like that. He's just saying that we don't have to do anything unless there's a reason to. This court case is ongoing. We have to treat this guy like he hasn't done anything wrong, which is basically what he's doing. And notice the shortness of this answer. The first answer, yeah, he definitely entertained it. The second answer, he's like, oh, let's get off the topic, pal. No, it felt hasty to do anything without knowing. So it's good to see him having his back in a way. It isn't exactly putting on the whole cape and doing things like I do on my video. Remember how I just paused it full screened myself just so I could talk to you guys about how innocent he is and just recap everything? He didn't do that, but he didn't forward the notion that Jonathan Majors is a bad guy. He didn't continue what Variety has been doing, which some of those links go to Variety. He didn't do the thing where you go, this woman just acts for a protective order against him. But I thought she was foreign. I thought she was away from the country. And I thought that, no, all right. Remember that news story? The protective order against him and how that was a big deal that came out like a month later? If they're reporting on that, but they can't report on a video on the side of the street where Jonathan Majors kind of motions away. Remember that?
Yo! Bro!
There's the story about how, his PR firm dropped him. You know, if they're not even willing to defend him, then he must have done something wrong. Remember that? Maybe it's just racism. Maybe it's just they automatically assume guilt because they saw the way he looked and he got arrested. And they said, oh, we got to wipe our hands clean off of this. And so we're not going to be on Team Jonathan Majors. There were a lot of news stories that used to be prevalent, heavy, the first kind of month. And then when that video of her going to the club comes out, uh-oh. Shout out to Rolling Stones as well for their anonymous people who said that Jonathan back in high school, back in university, man, this guy was so freaking intimidating. Yeah. He gave bad vibes, and we knew about it. Not me personally. I didn't hear about I knew about somebody, and they can tell you, but just they can't tell you. There's also an NDA. But Jonathan Majors, yeah, total hit piece. They got 40 people to anonymously, not on paper, come out and say stuff about Jonathan Majors. Stay woke. If you want to hear how 2 police precincts found probable cause to arrest the accuser, whose name I will not use, click on this video here. You'll even hear how the district attorney got word of this and deactivated the incident card. And this other video talks about how the DA submitted 2 terabytes worth of information without flagging the most relevant to the case in hopes Jonathan Majors wouldn't find some of these videos.